رحم الله من قرأ سورة الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. To recite the Surah Fatiha for Marhum Mirza Mazhar Ali Beg. Mirza Ali Beg. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. صلى على محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي قصرت عن رؤيته أبصار الناظرين وعجزت عن نعته أوهام الواصفين. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين وبالقاسم محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى وقوله الحق وهو أصدق القائلين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لا أقسم بهذا البلد وأنت حل بهذا البلد ووالد وما ولد لقد خلقنا الإنسان في كبد. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات بجمع. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Before I begin, heartfelt condolences to Nasheed Bhai and his family as well as the entire community for the loss of his father. Marhum was an amazing personality to the extent that I knew him. And as he grew older and older, obviously the same saying that goes that your childhood comes back in the old age. And whenever I used to visit here, I would normally be a guest of Nasheed Bhai and stay at his place, and had the opportunity to speak to his dad quite often, and in fact learn from his vast experience, reaching all the way from Hyderabad to other places that he had been to. And indeed it is, a loss, an irreplaceable loss, especially to the children, regardless of how old the father is. But it's an irreplaceable loss. A fatherly figure which nonetheless, regardless of how old we get, we look upon our fathers as still looking for refuge, still looking for some shade, looking for some support. Regardless of how old the father is, a child can always rely upon him. And I remember when another marhum in our family had passed away, Maulana, who was reciting the Majlis, he had said to my brother-in-law who had lost his father that, you served him well, you took care of him. There was this opportunity for you to look after him. And there was this bestowal from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you got to serve him. He said, yeah, that service is no longer available. He said, I wish that service was still there. The way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants or opens the ways and makes your affairs easy just by serving your father, just by serving your mother. And that is the reason why we read in certain riwayat that man nazara ila walidayh nazara rahmatin, the one who lays his eyes on his parents, full of rahmat, full of mercy, full of compassion, ala wa kataballahu lahu hajjan mabrura. It is due to this look, this glance of love and mercy that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala writes for you hajj, not only any hajj, hajj mabrur, that which is accepted in the bargah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the benefit of just looking up to your father with respect and with mercy. Yes, you no longer have that opportunity. You've lost that opportunity. That when you just look at and glance at your father, you were performing an ibadat. And similarly, on the contrary to that, those who still have their fathers alive and hayat, Imam mentioned the remaining part of this hadith. وَمَن نَظَرَ إِلَىٰ وَالِدَيْهِ نَظَرَ مَاقِتٍ. The one who looks at his father or his mother, especially his father, نَظَرَ مَاقِتٍ, a look, a glance with grudge and with disrespect. وَهُمَا ظَالِمَانِ, and even if they were unjust to the child, لَمْ يُقْبَلُ اللَّهُ صَلَاتُهُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not accept the salat and the ibadat of such an individual. So you look at the positive side of it. The one glance of rahmat guarantees hajj mabrur. And on the contrary, one glance of, hatred can cause that to happen. The verses that I recited are from Surah Balad, chapter number 90 from the Holy Quran. The very first 4 ayat, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala begins by qasam. La uqsimu bihadha al-balad. We know this much Arabic, that the word la means no. But you'd be surprised when you look up the translation of this ayah to find out what? That la has not been translated as no over here. Where the translation should have been La uqsimu bihadha al-balad, I don't swear by this city. Translation is, indeed I take an oath by this city. So what happened to our Arabic grammar? That much we knew. La was no, na'am was yes. Even that is no longer there. So there are things, certain ways to understand Quran and Quranic text. Over here, the word la, some say it's zaid. But it's kalam hakim. Why would there be anything zaid extra in it? Why would Allah give us something which would be extra? This is contemporary or previously lived shu'ara, poets. It was their need to go ahead and use these izafat and zaid and whatnot. Why would Allah need it? So in order to give the proper translation and not lose the word la, majority have translated and done the tafsir in this way, that la uqsimu bihadha al-balad, I don't need to swear by this city. Whereas the negative aspect is there, but the connotation and the translation remains positive. Which means what? That indeed I am swearing by this city. And so we see that Quran, especially the last juz of Quran, brother who recited beautiful Surah Rahman, emphasized on this fact that Quran is underutilized in our lives. Underused in our lives. Only on certain occasions. We need to make it to be Kitab-e Hayat. We have made it into Kitab-e Mamat. It's Kitab-e Hayat. So we see that in 30th juz of Quran, majority of the surahs have some sort of qasam in them. Or they begin with qasam. Look at the previous chapter, Wal Fajr, where we look at surah number 89, and this is surah number 90. And similarly, there are many other chapters that you know by heart that begin with some sort of qasam. Wal Asr, for example. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears by every time of the day. You have was subh, you have wal fajr, you have wal duha, you have wal nahar, you have wal asr, you have wal layl. There isn't a time that Allah has not taken an oath by. What does that tell you? When you and I make a qasam, it is so that my listener pays attention to what I'm saying and believes in me, because they may not believe in what I'm saying because of my previous record. And therefore it is mentioned, the person who swears a lot, don't believe in him. And that's excluding our Arab brothers, because every sentence begins with Wallahi. That's just how they speak, so we'll exclude them out of it. But nonetheless, we see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taken an oath by every time. He doesn't need to convince us of anything. He does not require any convincing. You believe in it, you believe. You don't, that's okay. Nothing is decreased from His karamat, from His mulukiyat and whatnot. But nonetheless, when Allah promises, when Allah swears and takes an oath by something, it is to highlight the importance of that thing. So when Allah is swearing by all the different times in the day, what does that tell you? Time is of essence. Realize the importance of time. Kind of like that person, children will not be able to relate to this, but the elders will be able to relate. Back home, there used to be people who sold ice. Here you just go and buy a bag of ice. There are people who are selling ice. And if they didn't sell it within time, what will happen to it? Water. It'll melt away. And water would not have the same value as the ice would. So this man who was selling ice, he cried out loud by saying, Irhamu man yadubu ra'su malih. Have mercy on the person whose investment is melting away. Have mercy, buy it please, before it melts away. This was actually a reflection to our own lives. That our lives are like that ice, which is slowly melting away. And if you don't utilize it in time, that means we have squandered it. So therefore, the first ayah is not what I was going to talk about. Just had to explain it. Allah says, La uqsimu bihadha al-balad. I don't need to swear by the city because it's so obvious. So for example, you would say, I don't need to swear that it is night time. It's so obvious. You can see the darkness outside. It's already dark. I don't need to swear that it is night time. Then he says, وَأَنْتَ حِلٌّ بِهَذَا الْبَلَدِ. Why would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swear by the city of Makkah? Makkah is the one which is balad over here. Is it because Khane Kaaba is in there? Is it because Safa and Marwa is there? Is it because Hajr Aswad is there? Is it because Maqam Ibrahim is there? Is it because Zamzam is there? Is it because Arafat and Mash'airul Haram is there? Allah Himself is answering the question in the very next ayah. I don't need to take an oath by this city. وَأَنْتَ حِلٌّ بِهَذَا الْبَلَدِ O Prophet, because you are living in Sakin and Muqim in this city. It is enough for the importance of this city, which has nothing of its own if you weren't in this city. The fact that you are in this city, it is worthy of being sworn by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I take an oath and I swear by a father and a son. Usually Mufassirin mention father and son is Hazrat Ibrahim and Hazrat Ismail alayhi salatu wassalam. But others have also alluded to the fact it is also Amirul Mu'mineen and Awlad Amirul Mu'mineen, which is being reflected in this third ayah of this surah. Last ayah, which is our discussion inshallah tonight, where Allah says, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي كَبَدٍ, that indeed we created mankind in much pain and difficulty. Don't be confused that Allah did not have difficulty in creating us. No, He just said kun fayakun. It is the process that we went through and the creation of us and our life which is filled with difficulties and calamities. And that brings us to the discussion of tonight. 3 points. If the children are taking notes, I'll keep it very simple. 3 points. 1, that what is it that Allah, why is it that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tests us? Number 2, what is it that He tests us with? And number 3, who is amongst those who will be tested by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? If I can get these 3 points across, inshallah, we ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts our ibadah tonight. First and foremost, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He says, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي كَبَدٍ, indeed mankind is created in difficulty. This pain and this bala that is being mentioned over here, this bala is not the Urdu bala, it's the bala of Arabic, which means difficulty, calamity, and pain. Indeed, if you look around in our lives, we find that there are calamities. And if you have vowed to be a follower of Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam, Imam says, فَلْيَسْتَعِدْ, so then that person should go ahead and wear the cloak of difficulties. When you believe in me, don't think things will come easy for you. Get ready to wear the cloak of difficulty, because that's what's written for you. So no need to run away from it. Rather embrace it graciously, because that is also a ni'mat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One example, one of the calamities that we look at and we talk about is this health of ours. That when we lose this health, and that is a calamity. People who are struggling and going through difficult times, on different medicines, rehabs and whatnot. Sometimes it prolongs to a long time that a person himself becomes, tired of life. Don't know about children, but person himself becomes tired. Now what is the purpose of living anymore? This is where a person should realize and understand. From the kalam of our fourth Imam, Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salatu wasalam, who said, "Oh Allah, when should I be more thankful to you? When I'm healthy or when I'm ill?" Then Imam responds himself. He said, "I should be more thankful to you when I'm ill, because only then I understand the value of health. Because when I have my health, I don't pay respect to it. I don't look at it being the ni'mat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Only when I lose this health, only then I'm looking at to be a ni'mat and a favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So who is tested by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Hadith Nabawi says, Innal bala'a lil-zalimi adabun, walil-mu'mini imtihanun, walil-anbiya'i darajatun. Bala is for everyone. This pain and calamity is for everyone. No one spared from it. Even those who are the most influential and the most wealthy of the world, don't think that they don't have any calamities and problems in their lives. In fact, that American dream that we look at, which is taken out of proportion, and you look at, well, that's the lifestyle, the one that some of our kids, they aspire and they look toward. The life of those who are, for example, actors and singers or players. They are living American dream. They could have whatever they want to. And how they go about business. No, even them, with all the wealth accumulated, have the worst of the problems associated with them. So it doesn't mean this wealth will relieve the problems that are part of your life. So therefore, everyone is going to be tested by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hadith says, Innal bala'a liz-zalimi adabun. Allah tests the zalim. Why? ताकि उसको अदब सिखाया जा सके. So that he could be taught a lesson because of the zulm that he has done. Yes, it may come at a later point, not right away. إِنَّمَا نُمْلِي عَلَيْهِمْ لِيَزْدَادُوا إِثْمًا. We let them have this respite. Why? People say, oh, look at this zalim. Nothing is happening to him. Allah said, no, let him continue to accumulate sins upon sins upon sins. We let them respite. So at the end, we will go ahead and capture them. So zalim is also tested. Mu'min, it's very simple. You understood from the hadith. Walil mu'mini imtihanun. It's merely an imtihan for a mu'min. And that is why when you look into Karbala, do you not think that Imam Hussein has the capability of producing water? When the feet of Ismail can produce water, Zamzam, Hussein ibn Ali is capable of producing water wherever he strikes his cane. And some riwayat actually mention that Imam did produce water. Not to drink, not just to prove the point to the people. That this is not what we are here for. We can easily quench our thirst if we wanted to. We can easily ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for help, and this whole thing will be over in no time. But that's not what we're here for. This is imtihan that we have to go through. So even mu'mineen have to go through this imtihan. You and I go through imtihanat all our lives. But how we deal with this imtihan, how we deal with this test, that's what's so important. We shouldn't be like those, a child who did bad on his exam. Tomorrow when he's asked, do you want to see your paper? He said, no, I don't need to see it. Why don't you want to see it? Well, I already know what I have sent forth. I already know what I have written. I don't need to see it when I know what I have done. It's similar to that ayat of Surah Jummah that you recite in your Jummah prayers, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to the Jews by saying, قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ هَادُوا إِنْ زَعَمْتُمْ أَنَّكُمْ أَوْلِيَاءُ لِلَّهِ مِنْ دُونِ النَّاسِ فَتَمَنَّوُا الْمَوْتِ. If you think that you're the chosen first people of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, chosen people from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then what? Tamanna maut. And then Allah answers himself in the next ayah. فَلَا يَتَمَنَّوْنَهُ أَبَدًا بِمَا قَدَّمَتْ أَيْدِيهِمْ. They will never make this dua. Why? What they have sent forth already. They already know what they have sent forth. If I know what I have left in that room for myself. And that's why when a person leaves this world, قَالَ النَّاسِ مَا تَرَكَ وَقَالَتِ الْمَلَائِكَةِ مَا قَدَّمَ. People say, what has he left? Is there anything that is valuable to me, that will be beneficial to me? While the malaika are saying, Ma qaddama, what has he sent forth? What has he sent forth? So this is where we look at the seerat of our fourth Imam, that whenever a beggar, a sa'il would come to Imam, Imam would kiss his hand. People say, Imam, you say, yeah, you're doing don't think that you're doing a favor to this Sa'il. He's doing a favor to you. He said, how is that possible? He's coming, knocking on my door, begging, I'm giving of my wealth. I'm the one doing favor to him. He said, no. Have you not heard of that you will need Zadur Rah, Zad Taqwa in the hereafter? Do you know the currency that will work over there? This man is transferring your goods without any fee from this life to the hereafter. You transfer money from here to your country, it charges a fee. Sometimes there's no fee, but they're gonna, in the exchange rate, they'll charge it. This man is transferring your goods without any fees. You'll get it over there when you'll need it the most. So from this we understand that mu'mineen are tested. And lastly, Anbiya. If Anbiya are tested, then who are you and I? But why are Anbiya tested? It says daraja. That's why you see that not all of the Anbiya are at the same level. Many of them were sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as just the news bearers. But some of them were also Rasul alongside with being Nabi. But aside from those Rasul, there were also those who were given Shariat and a book and a scripture. And then amongst those Rasul who were given Shariat, there were those who were Ulul Azm. And amongst those Ulul Azm, there's only one Khatimul Anbiya, Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So you go ahead and work your way back and you see the ranks of all the Anbiya. That's what Allah says, وَلِلْ أَنْبِيَاءِ دَرَجَةٌ. And which Nabi should I talk about? Quran is filled with examples of Anbiya. You look at Surah Nuh, chapter Nuh, his name was not Nuh. He became known as Nuh because of Kasirun Nawha, Kasrat Nawha. Don't nobody say the Shion ne shuru kiya ye Noha. Hazrat Nuh is known for reciting Noha. In fact, the Surah Nuh is entirely the Noha of Hazrat Nuh. What does he say in it? He says in this, oh Allah, I propagated your message laylan wa nahara, day and night, without any stoppage. I propagated your message. But what would these people do? فَجَعَلَهُمْ أَصَابِعَهُمْ فِي آذَانِهِمْ. Imagine you invited me to, Nasheed Bhai invited me to come and speak to this Majlis. You have some personal or whatever grudge, or you just simply don't like the stuff that I'm saying, but it's still out of respect, you won't put your fingers in your ears. You don't want to listen, you'll get up and leave. That will be the respectable way of doing it. But Hazrat Nuh is giving propagation, tabligh, speaking of the message of Allah. What are they doing? Hands in the ears. And this is the kalam of Hazrat Nuh. Oh Allah, I'm speaking to them. They're putting their fingers in their ears. And if that wasn't enough, they'll put their libas or their chadar upon their heads to cover their head. I'm speaking to you, you cover your heads. Or you fall asleep. One or the other. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So we see over here that this is the Noha of Hazrat Nuh. To the extent that they will strike and they will throw stones at him, that his body will develop wounds. And at night when he would go to sleep, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would send angel to go ahead and rub against his body so that his wounds will be healed. So tomorrow he can go back and start doing tabligh. How ironic it is that when a Nabi develops wounds, angel comes down to go ahead and relieve his wounds. But if an angel is in wounds, what do you have to do? Bring him to the cradle of Hussein ibn Ali and rub him to Hussein. And this is where this fitrus will fly away by saying, Man mithli ana atikul Hussein. Man misli, ana atikul Hussein. Who's like me? I am the one who's been rescued by Hussein ibn Ali. And Rasulullah did not say rub him with the body of Hussein. If he did, this would have ended in the 61st year after Hijrah. You continue to rub yourself to the zari of Imam Hussein. And this is where we see that how beautifully Shair has put this. You've heard this shair many times. Khwaja Ajmer Chishti Rahmatullah alayhi, he says what? Shah hast Hussein, Badshah hast Hussein, Deen hast Hussein, Deepana hast Hussein, Sardad Nadad Das Dar Dast Yazid, Haqqa ke bina la ilaha hast Hussein. You see how Shair, even when he said these 4 lines, that Hussein is Shah, Hussein is Badshah, Hussein is the protector of Deen, and he gave his head, but he did not give his hand in bayat to Yazid. Indeed, he's the foundation of La ilaha illallah, that he uses the word Hussein 5 times. Subhanallah. Twice in the first line, twice in the second line, and once in the last line. 5 times he uses the name of Imam Hussein as if to reflect on the Panjatan, and the line in which he uses the name of the enemy of Imam Hussein, he does not include the name of Imam Hussein in the same line. So we see that even Anbiya are tested. Hazrat Ibrahim, his example is there. And Hazrat Ayyub, his example is in Quran. Sabr Ayyub is maruf. And then you have the example of our own Prophet, the struggles that he went through. And that's why he attained that highest rank amongst the Anbiya. So that's one segment. Everyone is tested. Nobody is spared from the test. Number 2, what is it that Allah tests us with? You look at Surah Baqarah, verse number 155. I'm sure all of you have heard this ayat before, but may not have looked at it from this way. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوءِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ قَالُوا إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. That give glad tidings, بَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. But it begins with what? وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ. Lam for ta'keed, wanna for ta'keed. 2 ta'keedat. That indeed, beshak, without a doubt, we will test you. We will test you. Bishayin, with one of these things. Min al khawf, with fear. Wal ju, with hunger. Naqsim min al amwal, by your wealth. Wal anfus, with your life. Wat tamarat, by your children. 5 things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in this ayah that you will be tested by. Some of us are tested with hunger. Some of us are tested with fear. Some of us are tested with our wealth. And some of us are tested with our children. Having children is a test. Not having children is also a test. Having 1 child is a test. Having multiple children is also a test. These are all different tests that have been created for you. The more the test, the more you are beloved of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because if that was not the case, if you say, well, the person who's tested a lot, how unfortunate is that person? This is how usually we look at them in our societies. बेचारे ये भी हो गया, वो भी हो गया, ये भी हो गया, वो भी हो गया. जॉब भी गई, घर भी गया, और बच्चे और ये और सब टेस्ट. How unfortunate. No, don't look at him from the aspect that how unfortunate. The one who is the most beloved of Allah is tested a lot. Because if that was the case, our Prophet would be most unfortunate. He's born an orphan. And how he spends his life throughout every step of the way. But because he's the most beloved of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all of these tests are lined up for him. So don't look at that person from this aspect. In fact, he is the most beloved. The fact that God hasn't tested you enough, it should be worrying you. That should be a matter of worry for you because you haven't been tested enough. You know, we say that a lot of things happen because of reason. In fact, everything happens for a reason. There was a king, and obviously this king had his wazir. And whenever something would happen to the king, the wazir would say, that's okay. There must be some wisdom behind it. There must be something good. Not wisdom, something good behind it. One day, king was cutting some apples for himself and he cut his hand. He cut his finger, started bleeding to the extent that they had to amputate his thumb. But the wazir said, what? Don't worry about it. There must be something good in it. King got mad. He said, throw this man into the prison. No matter what happens to me, he says there's something good about it. What good is in me cutting my hand and this thumb getting amputated? Throw this man into the prison. The man was thrown into the prison. He was the king, he could do anything. After a while, the king goes for hunting with his people. And after a while, he leaves his own area and he gets up being in an area which was not his property or his town or his ilaqa. And that's where he was alone. None of his army men were with him. He was captured by a group of people who were looking to sacrifice something for their gods. They pick him up. They said, look, this man is all decorated. This is the best sacrifice that we can offer for our gods. They put him up on this place where they can go ahead and sacrifice him. As soon as Jallad comes to kill him, he sees this hand is amputated. He said, we can't give any defected sacrifice for our gods. Even in their time, for their fake gods, you don't give defected sacrifice. You know, the concept that we have for Qurbani as well. King was spared of his life. He runs back, eventually finds his people, scolds them, how did you let me be alone? Comes back to the kingdom, comes back to his palace, tells them, release that man from the prison. Bring him back and reinstate him right here. They bring him back. He said, you were right. Everything happens for a purpose. There must be something good behind it. I did not see it at that time while I cut my hand and I threw you into the prison. So yes, that is good. That happened for a reason, that I cut my hand and my life was saved. But why? Why did you end up being in the prison? What good was in there? He said, you know that I never leave you out of my sight. If they had spared your life, they would have killed me right after you. So there are different ways that we are tested. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in this ayah, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ. All of these 5 things are mentioned. We may be tested by one of these in our lives. But if you want to see the combination of all 5 of them in one place, look no further than Karbala. You have khawf there. There wasn't any khawf until the night of Ashur, because Hazrat Abbas was still present. Women were without a worry. Abbas is standing outside. There was no, yes, the hunger began and the thirst began 3 days into the Ashur. And then the sacrifices of what? Of your nufus, your mal, and your children. Everything you can find, all of them in Karbala. So therefore we should not worry if one of these 5 are affecting us. That's why Karbala is the biggest healer of the wounds. You know, while the Masaib of Hazrat Ali Akbar on 9th or 8th, whenever you recite them, is the most heart-wrenching Masaib that you could hear, in my opinion. The Masaib of an old father, how he carries his son. While these Masaib are at the pinnacle of it being the most, sad Masaib, but at the same time, for a person who's lost his son, these serve as what? Heal for the wounds. While Ali Akbar's Masaib are the most heart-wrenching, but at the same time, they are the most comforting to the person who has lost a son. Just imagine, just look at the two effects of even the Masaib of Sayyidul Shuhada. So therefore we see that these are the 5 things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned in Surah Baqarah 155, that He will test people with. And lastly, so that I can conclude and bring you towards Masaib. Why does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala test us? You know, you and I, if we were teachers, if we were teaching someone, and some of you are, teachers, when you teach your students, you take an exam at the end of the semester. Why do you take an exam? Because you are unaware of their abilities. And even if you were aware of their abilities, because you as a teacher, you can figure out which child has the ability and which doesn't. But still it is possible that this person who did not do anything throughout the year might study the last minute, and pass the exam. So we go ahead and test. But why does Allah need to test? Alimun bidhat as-sudur. He's aware of what's hidden in our hearts. So why does He need to test? There was a story of a person who studied in Howdershell in Najaf. His name was Yusuf. And he went to the haram of Amirul Mu'mineen. And he looked at the chandelier, and he looked at the golden dome, and he looked at the dari of Imam, and he said to Imam, "Oh Imam, here I am a student of Najaf. I don't have enough means to survive and continue my life while you're enjoying the chandelier and the golden dome and whatnot. Please give me some. I want to be able to run my life, get married, and so on and so forth." He goes home. He sees a dream. He sees Amirul Mu'mineen in his dream. Imam says to him, "If you want to be Mujawir of Najaf, तो फिर यही सूखी रोटी खानी है. अगर नजफ की मुजावरत चाहिए, then you have to eat this bread and you have to live this lifestyle that you've been given. But if you want the luxuries of the life, then travel to Hindustan, go to so-and-so's home, knock on the door and say to him, Bi asman ravad wa kari aftab kunad." He wakes up from his dream. He comes back to the haram. He said, "Maula, I asked you to make my life better here. I don't have means to travel from one city to another. You're telling me to go to India, Hyderabad?" He wakes up, he goes to sleep, he sees the dream again. Imam says, "If you want mujawirat of Iraq and Najaf, and if you want to be the student of Hawza Ilmiya, this is the lifestyle that we have chosen for you. But if you want the luxuries," repeated the same thing. He wakes up in the morning, whatever wasail he had, he borrowed money from anyone who could, sold all of his possessions, and he embarked on this journey. After many days, he arrives in India, reaches Hyderabad, knocks on the door that he was told to go to, and as soon as he sees the Malik Makan, he says, "Bi asman ravad wa kari aftab kunad." The guy was an influential man. He had some guards at the door who were trying to make this man go away, Yusuf go away. He said, "No, let him come in. Bring him to the house, take him to that room, give him new clothes, get him ready, make sure he rests, give him some food." Now Yusuf has no idea what's going on to him. Next day, there's a mahfil. He has invited all the dignitaries of Hyderabad. And then he makes Yusuf come out and sit next to him. Now people are, astonished as to what is happening. Apparently this man, who was a very influential man, he said that today in front of all of you I announce that this man who just came yesterday, I give him half of my wealth and I marry him one of my 2 daughters. He sees the ta'bir of his dream, what Amirul Mu'mineen had said, is coming true. He said, but why? People asked this question. He said, few weeks ago or few years ago, I had said a sha'r, a poetry praising Amirul Mu'mineen. And when I said that first misra, I asked people to help me figure out the second one. And I could not come up with the second one. Because the poetry was in Farsi, I even consulted the Persian poets to complete it. They couldn't help me. So I said to myself, maybe it was not accepted in the bargah of Amirul Mu'mineen. I left it as is. Until yesterday, this man knocked on the door and he said, Bi asman rawad wa kare aftab kunad. He said, can you read the entire sha'r? He said, yeah, the first line was, Be dharre gar nazar lutf buturab kunad, Bi asman rawad wa kare aftab kunad. जिसके माने ये हैं कि if Ali Buturab, Ali ibn Abi Talib looks at an atom, किसी जर्रे की तरफ निगाह लुत्फ करें, तो उस जर्रे को ये औज मिलती है कि वो आसमान पे पहुंचता है और सूरज का काम अंजाम देने लगता है. He said, until yesterday I did not have the second line, until this man showed up and he completed the line. Yusuf said, this is not from me. This is the ata of Maulana himself. I did not know about this sha'r. I had no clue. I just asked him for something and he said, go to this address and read this second line. That means when Imam is completing your sha'r, definitely it is accepted in his bargah. So when Ali, after his shahadat, is continuously bestowing and providing, if you were to ask from Malik-e-Haqiqi, just imagine how much you will get. This is as far as karam is concerned. So why does Allah then test us? 2 reasons that ulama akhlaq have mentioned, and inshallah I'll conclude with this. 1, so that you are able to realize your own value and your worth. What do I mean by that? That means that until we are pushed to the limits, we don't know what we're made of. I can claim to do something, but it's only merely a claim until I prove it. You know how Army and Navy and other militaries, such a rigorous training that they go through. Why? Because one day they may have to be in a real combat situation. And in that real combat situation, how they will cope with that situation, they duplicate that. So that training is given to you in such difficult and rigorous way, so that you're prepared for that day. Subhanallah. If you pass this, then you're worthy of that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is also testing us to show that what is our own inner hidden capabilities. What is our own qabiliyat? What are we made of? What is our worth? Number 2, the reason that Allah tests is because He wants you to look at those who are in your surrounding. So you're able to understand the qabiliyat of those who are in your surrounding. I know you're tired, restless, and it's a weekend, but nonetheless we've come here to pay tribute to this marhum in this Isal Sawab Majlis. With the effect of it, inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevate the status of marhum, give him a place in the jawar of Masumeen alayhim salatu wassalam. But why would Allah want me to realize the value of those in my surrounding? 2 occasions, I'll only point them towards. I'll point out, I won't go into the details of it. 1 is Battle of Khandaq. There's Amr ibn Abd Wud. A lot of people mispronounce his name, Abdawad or whatever. Abde Wood, servant of wood. Amr ibn Abd Wud is standing on the other side of the trench and mocking the religion, ridiculing the religion, mocking Rasulullah. And Rasulullah says, who amongst you wants to go ahead and answer and respond to this man? And this is a situation, if you can relate to it, imagine if you have a question answer session and Maulana asks a question and you're afraid that he will point me and ask me for that question, and you look away. Or you keep your head down. Or a teacher is asking a question and you're not trying to make eye contact, lest she or he asks me the question. Rasulullah is saying, who wants to answer this man? Nobody's answering, except one young man who wants to go. Rasulullah says, sit down. Again, Amr ibn Abdul calls upon religion, mocks Prophet. What is the ghayrat of these Muslimin? Rasul said, who wants to answer him? Nobody gets up except this one young man. When this happened the third time, Rasulullah says, go Ali, go answer. Ali goes and he does what he did. Afterward, people say, oh Rasulullah, why didn't you let him go the first time? He says, so that you can realize and understand those who are in my surrounding. You can understand the value of those who are in my surrounding. Because when I was in need, who was there to stand up for my cause? Second is Khaybar. You all know the story. The fort was not victorious until the 40th day, right? Why? For the first 39 days, Rasulullah kept calling other people. Why didn't he call Amir al-Mu'mineen the very first day? Or after a week? Or after 2 weeks? Or after 1 month of continuous failure? Why didn't he call Amir al-Mu'mineen? Only on the 40th day, he said, tomorrow I will give the flag in the hand of someone who's karrar ghair farrar, and who will bring victory to us. And Amir al-Mu'mineen did. Oh Rasulullah, why didn't you call Ali the first day? Again, the response will be to go ahead and recognize those who are in my surrounding. That when I am in need, when deen is in need, look no further. That's why in Karbala, when Karbala is about to happen, you only have 72 in front of you. Islam has far gone beyond Arabia at that time. But you only have 72 that are accompanying Hussein ibn Ali. So when deen is in need, look no further than Ahlul Bayt. That's why that saying is, a friend in need is a friend indeed. So therefore I bring you towards this conclusion कि खुदावंद मुताल ने हमारी ज़िंदगियों में इम्तहानात रखे हैं. इम्तहानात से इंसान ना डरे. यस, ये कभी कभी मुश्किल भी होते हैं, पेनफुल भी होते हैं, कभी कभी अनबेरेबल भी होते हैं. यानी जैसे किसी चाहने वाले का इस दुनिया से गुजर जाना बड़ा सख्त मरहला है. कैसे इंसान बर्दाश्त करे उसकी सोहबत, जिसकी सोहबत में 40, 50, 60 साल गुजारे हों, अब वो शख्स हमारे दरमियान ना रहे, कैसे इंसान रिएक्ट करेगा? ऐसे ही कि मसलन अब ज़िंदगी में कोई मज़ा नहीं उसके बाद. और ये कलाम गैर आदी कलाम नहीं है. हत्ता हुसैन इब्न अली ने भी ये कलाम अदा किए थे. जब अली अकबर की शहादत वाक़ई हुई थी तो इमाम के यही अल्फाज थे, ए अली अकबर, तुम्हारे जाने के बाद से अब इस दुनिया में रंगीनी बाकी नहीं रही. क्या फ़ायदा इस दुनिया में? जब अब्बास की शहादत की खबर मिली तो उठे, क्या कहा? अलान इनका सरा ज़हरी, मेरी कमर टूट गई. तो इन कलमात में कोई बुराई नहीं है अगर इंसान अपने किसी मर जाने वाले के बाद से इन कलमात को अदा करे. मुश्किलात पेश आती हैं, लेकिन आप उन मुश्किलात से किस तरीके से पेश आते हैं, ये डिटरमिन करता है इंसान के दराजात को. अमीर कबीर नाम है मिर्ज़ा तकी ख़ान. मिर्ज़ा तकी ख़ान अमीर कबीर के नाम से मारूफ़. ईरान के बादशाहों में से, ईरान के रूलर्स में से एक रूलर गुजरे काजार के दौर में. 200-250 साल पुरानी बात है. और उनको बाग़फीन काशान में शहीद किया गया था, लटका दिया गया था और मार दिया गया. मज़लूमाना शहादत. आयतुल्लाह अराकी नक़ल करते हैं कि मैंने मिर्ज़ा तकी ख़ान अमीर कबीर को ख्वाब में देखा और कहा कि ये वाला दरजा और रफ़ी दरजा जो आपको बरज़ख में अता हुआ है, ये किस लिए है? इसलिए कि आपने وہ جو انحرافی گروہ اس زمانے میں تھے ان کا قلع کما کیا؟ کہا نہیں. کہا اس لیے کہ آپ کی شہادت بڑی مظلومانہ شہادت تھی اس لیے؟ امیر کبیر نے کہا نہیں. کہا پھر کس لیے آپ کو برزخ جیسی جگہ میں اتنا رفیع درجہ ملا ہے؟ کہا یہ میرے حسین کی عطا ہے. کہا حسین کی عطا ہے؟ کہا ہاں سنو، جب باغ فین میں مجھ کو لے جا کے لٹکا دیا گیا تھا اور میرے ہاتھوں کی رگوں کو کاٹ دیا تھا اور پاؤں کی رگوں کو کاٹ دیا تھا اور خون بہہ رہا تھا، اس عالم میں ایک دفعہ تشنگی میرے زبان پہ آئی اور اس تشنگی کے عالم میں میں نے سوچا کہ ان سے کہوں ذرا پانی تو پلا دو. پھر خود سوچا کہ اے مرزا تقی خان، تمہاری 2 رگوں کو کاٹ دیا تو تمہیں پیاس لگنے لگی. زہرا کے لال اس بادشاہ سر سے لے کے پاؤں تک کٹا ہوا تھا. اجرکم اللہ. زہرا کے لال کو سر سے پاؤں تک کاٹ دیا گیا تھا. کہا بس میں نے صبر کیا اور پانی کی تمنا نہ کی. تھوڑی دیر بعد جب میرا رخسار زمین پہ لگا تو میں نے حسین کو دیکھا. حسین آتے ہیں اس عالم میں جب میری جان نکل رہی تھی. کہا اے مرزا تقی خان، تم نے ہماری پیاس کو ادب سے دیکھا، ہماری پیاس کے سامنے تم نے تشنگی کو پریفرنس دیا. تمہارے اس ادب کی خاطر تمہیں یہ مقام رفیع عطا کرتے ہیں برزخ میں، اور اس کا جبران ہوگا قیامت میں جو تمہیں مقام عطا ہوگا. اجرکم اللہ. یہ ہے پیاس، یہ ہے تشنگی. اسی لیے روایات میں ہے کہ جب پانی پیو تو حسین کو یاد کرو. خود امام حسین کا قول ہے ان شربتم مان، کہ اگر تم نے پانی پیا تو حسین کو یاد کرو. یہ ہے امام حسین. بس آپ کے آنسو جاری ہو گئے 2 جملے مصائب کے اور زحمت تمام. امام حسین جس مقصد سے کربلا آئے ہیں، ایک دفعہ کربلا آنے کے بعد سے ابھی آپ نے مرثی میں بھی سنا کہ حدیث عشق 2 باب است، کربلا و دمشق. یقی حسین رقم کرد دیگری زینب. کہ اس کربلا کی حدیث کے صرف 2 ہی باب ہیں. ایک کو حسین نے اپنے ہاتھوں سے لکھا اور دوسری کو زینب نے اجاگر کیا. بس امام آئے تو تھے اپنے خاندان کو لے کے، ارادہ بیان کر دیا تھا کس لیے آ رہے ہیں، جنگ کے لیے نہیں آ رہے ہیں. اريد ان آمر بالمعروف، اصلاح امت کے لیے آ رہے ہیں. لیکن دشمن نے کچھ اور سمجھا اور جنگ اختیار کی. تو لہٰذا امام نے جب سب کو وداع کر لی، ایک دفعہ امام تنہا رہ گئے. بس اب امام نے کہا میں بھی وداع لے لوں. آتے ہیں ایک دفعہ امام خیمہ میں اور جناب زینب سے کہتے ہیں، وہ رخصت کا منظر آپ کے سامنے پیش کرنا چاہتا ہوں، اور جناب زینب سے کہتے ہیں کہ اے بہن وہ کوہنا لباس مجھ کو لا کے دے دو. زینب نے بغیر کچھ پوچھے بھائی کو وہ لباس لا کے دے دیا. بھائی نے خود بیان کیا کہ اے زینب تم سمجھ تو رہی ہوگی، سوچ رہی ہوگی کہ مجھے اس لباس کی کیا ضرورت. اس کوہنے لباس کی ضرورت اس لیے ہے کہ یہ لعین مجھ کو مارنے کے بعد سے میرے جسم پہ کچھ نہ چھوڑیں گے. میں نہیں چاہتا کہ میرا لاشا اور یہاں پڑا رہے کربلا کی سرزمین پہ، لہٰذا یہ کوہنا لباس پہن لوں جس کی طرف کسی کو رغبت نہ ہوگی. اجرکم اللہ. خدا کسی غم میں نہ رلائے سوائے غم آل محمد کے. بس امام نے وہ لباس زیب تن کیا. ایک دفعہ امام نے سب سے رخصت لی، سب کو اکٹھا کیا، کہا یا زینب، یا ام کلثوم، یا سکینہ، یا فاطمہ، علیکن منی سلام. آپ سب پہ میرا سلام. یہ کہہ کے امام چل دیے کربلا کی طرف، مقتل کی طرف. ایک دفعہ اپنے گھوڑے اسب باوفا پہ امام سوار ہوتے ہیں، کہتے ہیں کہ میں نے تجھ کو بہت زحمت دی، بس یہ آخری زحمت ہے. بے زبان جانور آگے نہیں بڑھا. لیکن کیسے بے زبانی سے بیان کرے جو نہیں کر پا رہا. امام سمجھے کہ بس تھک گیا ہے یہ بھی, کہا بس آخری زحمت ہے, اس کے بعد سے زحمت نہ دوں گا. ایک دفعہ بے زبان نے اپنا سر جھکا دیا, اشارہ کیا زمین کی طرف. امام نے کیا دیکھا, ننھی سکینہ پاؤں پہ پڑی ہوئی ہے. امام اترتے ہیں, سکینہ کو کلیجے سے لگاتے ہیں, اے بیٹی سکینہ, ابھی ہم نے ودا کر لیا تھا, اب آپ پھر آ گئی ہیں. کہا بابا ایک آخری مرتبہ بیٹی کو کلیجے سے لگا کے سینے پہ سلا دیجئے. بس امام نے بیٹی کی خواہش پوری کی, سکینہ کو سینے سے لگایا اور لگا کے ایک دفعہ دونوں باپ بیٹی سو گئے. غش کے عالم میں جناب زینب آئی تو دوبارہ اٹھے خواب سے. ایک دفعہ امام نے سکینہ کو اپنے سے دور کیا, کہا بیٹا سکینہ آج کے بعد سے وعدہ کرو تمہاری اور علی اصغر کی جگہ تبدیل. ارے علی اصغر آج کے بعد باپ کے سینے پہ سوئے گا اور تم ماں کے سینے. انا للہ و انا الیہ راجعون. بار الہ ہماری سے بات قبول فرما, گناہ گار ہیں ہمارے گناہوں سے درگزر فرما. ہمیں اہل بیت علیہ السلام کے نقش قدم چلنے کی توفیق عطا فرما. ہمیں ان کی تعلیمات پر عمل کرنے کی توفیق عطا فرما. ہمارے امام کے ظہور میں تعجیل فرما. ہمیں ان کے اعوان و انصار میں شمار کر. ربنا تقبل منا انک انت السمیع العلیم. ایک دفعہ سورہ فاتحہ اور 3 دفعہ سورہ اخلاص کی تلاوت کر کے مرحوم مرزا مظہر علی بیگ کی روح کو اصال کرتے. بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم الحمدللہ رب العالمین الرحمن الرحیم مالک یوم الدین ایاک نعبد و ایاک نستعین اهدنا الصراط المستقیم صراط الذین انعمت علیہم غیر المغضوب علیہم ولا الضالین. بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم قل هو الله احد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا احد. بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم ولم يلد ولم يكن له كفوا احد. بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم قل هو الله احد الله الصمد. ربنا تقبل منا انك انت السميع العليم.